Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show.
2 minutes until showtime.
It's our little pre-show that we do here. It's going to be an interesting program. It is a Gamer Tuesday program. In the second hour, we'll be bringing to you computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, we're going to go to Uncaged Studios. We have Mr. Sharif Gaines. He is the CEO of the company. We're going to be talking about The Sentient, which is a space simulation exploration game. And we're going to be talking about that, what makes it different, and what they're doing over at Uncaged Studios to make all of this happen. So sit back, relax, as we begin 2 hours of Computer America coming right at you, right here.
Huh.
What?
Amazon is starting to sell Comcast television.
1 minute until showtime.
Amazon is buying Comcast television?
No, Amazon is selling. Like, you can go to Amazon.com and go purchase a subscription to Comcast.
See, that's cool. We really need that'll be a cool story to do.
Customer reviews aren't exactly stellar, but interesting idea that you can go and buy a service.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew?
Listeners will in a second. Well,
yeah.
Next hour.
That's true. They will. Okay, 30 seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show. It's a Gamer Tuesday program. We have a terrific show planned for you. In the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, we're going to be talking to Uncaged Studios. They have a new space simulation exploration game. And it's going to be very interesting. And we'll be talking to the company's CEO, Mr. Sharif Gaines, is here with us. If you have a comment or a question about what we're talking about today, we certainly would love to hear from you. Give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-881. We'll get you on and get you through. That's 347-884-8881 is the number to call. You can see everybody's really excited about that number. Or if you don't want to go on the air, if you have a comment or a suggestion, just go to any page at ComputerAmerica.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see it says Submit a Question. That's on any page. Just click it. It'll go to our question submission page. You can type in your question or comment, click the Submit button, and Ben and I will see it immediately, and we'll act accordingly upon whatever it is you typed. The other thing you can do is you can also watch the Computer America Show. We are a radio broadcast, but we also provide live video streaming of our show. And the way that works is, again, you go to any page at ComputerAmerica.com. You'll see the menu bar, and one of the selections there is the Show Lounge. Just click on that, and you will be teleported instantaneously to our live video stream. Matter of fact, you'll be joined to our show already in progress if you do it after the show begins, and you can see us. Now, you can see myself. You can see Ben. Sometimes you can see our guests, sometimes not. And also, Ben has the amazing technology to display websites that we're talking about, links, videos, movies. He has the ability to display all that, so it just really further enriches your experience of Computer America. You can see everything we're talking about. Of course, everything gets archived too. We also archive our live video stream. We have our own YouTube channel, and we archive the audio that you can listen to it later on at your convenience. But we like live listeners and live viewers, and so that's why we're here. We're here Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time for you, so you can see and watch and listen and participate here on the Computer America Show. That's just part of the fun. That's what we do here on the program, and having you participate certainly livens things up, and we certainly enjoy having you here present on the show. So again, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. So I think that about wraps that up. Anything else, Ben, you want to mention before you want to get started?
Anything else I want to mention? No. No, I think we're good. Yesterday was a lot of fun. We really caught up on a lot of news that we'd been putting off for a little while. But so please go listen to our archives. Other than that, though, no, I think we are good to go.
Okay. Now, again, I don't know if it's the sentient or the sentient, but we'll find out. We're going to ask our guest here. Yeah, but the Uncaged Studios is here with us, and their premier game is called The Sentient, and it is a space simulation exploration game. In other words, you can build out your own ship, you can explore all the vastness of space and research new technologies when you're doing that. It's all about how you play the game, okay? Now, here with us is the CEO of Uncaged Studios. His name is Sharif Gaines, and he's here with us. Sharif, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, so is it the sentient or the sentient?
Sentient. So it's like a sentient life form.
Okay, a sentient life. Okay, because some people pronounce it sentient, sentient, though. Oh, that's fine. So, why don't we tell our listeners a little bit about Uncaged Studios? How did it kind of start in your involvement with the company?
Sure. So I've been a computer scientist for about 12 years now. Been programming for a long time. Been programming video games since I was 12 years old. Joined several companies over the years, and then I was lucky enough to get into a AAA studio, ZeniMax Online, working on The Elder Scrolls Online. A very big game, and it was great. Great experience. Met a lot of wonderful people there. Spent about over 5 years there, and then eventually just wanted to take a break, create something unique, like on my own, challenge myself, and make something different. And that was the whole idea.
So you couldn't do that while you were working for the other company. You had a little free time to do something like that. You were kind of focused on the Elder Scrolls.
Correct. Most of the time when you work for other companies or game studios, anything you make on the side can technically be owned by that company. So it's kind of like a conflict of interest in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So not having kids yet or anything like that, it was the right time to do it right then and there.
I see. So in other words, when did you start? When you're working for on the Elder Scrolls games, how long were you working on that when you start? It's the little spark started saying, hey, I want to try doing this, or I want to make my own, or I mean, how long were you working there, or were you, even before you joined it, you felt that way?
I think when I first joined, I was just more excited to be there than worrying about anything in particular. I'd say about a year or more before I left, the itch was starting to get to me, I guess. Being married, my wife wanted to have kids and things like that. So it was like the prime time to do it sooner than later, with all the risks and things that go into it.
Yeah, because it is a risk. I mean, when you leave a good job, I don't care what it is, but if you leave a good job to kind of go out on your own, I mean, it's exciting, but it doesn't pay the bills, at least not initially, correct?
Correct, and that's why I had to, wait at least a year or more just to save up enough, just to make sure I'm safe and, doesn't hurt my family at all, and that was like the key.
All right, so you reach that point, and then you basically Uh, Let me just ask you, what made you want to become a video game developer? Because you ask little kids, hey, what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. What did you decide you wanted to become a video game developer?
So I would say I started with games when I was 5 years old. My dad used to buy, my mom and dad used to buy a computer, and my dad would bring home floppy disk games back in the day.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
He would just look at the box cover and he would bring it home, not really knowing exactly what it was, but he thought that his kids would enjoy it. So over time, me and my brother, we would fumble through the games, and that was basically how we learned how to type. Was playing with the old command line, trying to figure out how to make a game work.
Yeah.
The One of the funniest games, or the first game that I actually remember from back then was Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh yes.
And as a kid, in order to even play that game, you had to look up the encyclopedia answer or know some adult answer to the question to even get in there. So we would run back and ask him questions about it. And the funny thing is that although the game was more about adult themes, me and my brother being as young as we were, the funniest thing to us was just being able to send a person into the bathroom and use the bathroom via command line. That was just amazing to us. It was just something as simple as that. Sparked the idea of, wow, you could do so much with video games.
So do you think that the kids today have it too easy? I had to use a command line and get people to go, and now of course they just sit back with a video game controller.
Oh yeah, I remember fighting with DOS prompt as a child and having to, did I have enough memory just to even run a program? So yes, they have it a little bit easy in that aspect for sure.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, I couldn't see competitive Leisure Suit Larry, and where multiple people go in and battle each other in prompts.
Yes, that is very true. But then again, we had what was it? It's not Tank, but little games like that, Pong, where you competitively played, and
Exactly.
that made people happy back then.
Yeah. Well, we've come a long way since then. So when did it hit you that well, why do you make games? I mean, let me ask you that. Why did you decide to stay in that same area?
Honestly, as a kid, my brother was quite a bit older than me. A lot of my friends weren't immediately around where I lived. So, in order to even, have fun or play with friends, I had to drive somewhere. So that left a lot of time of being alone. So the joy of just what games brought to me as a child is basically why I do it as an adult. Whenever I make something or I see I tell you the great thing about YouTube or reaction videos or things like that is you can actually see people now and see their excitement as they play through a game or talk through a game, and the joy that it brings. It's just amazing. For a brief moment of time, you're touching someone's life and you're making them happy, and it's something that you can't always see as a developer.
But and you say to yourself, I made that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember the long hours that night just to add that one little feature that you may only see for 2 minutes, but it brought a smile to your face, and that's kind of what makes it worth it.
Well,
but I mean, it didn't get to you because I know kind of going through, hey, what career do you want to pursue? When you graduate high school or whatever, and so many kids, because they play video games, they're like, I'm gonna make video games, and I don't want to say that I killed any dreams, but I said, that takes a lot of math, right? Because they wanted to make the next Halo universe, they wanted to make the next Skyrim or the next Elder Scrolls, they wanted to make these really really complex AAA title huge games, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this out of my basement. I'm gonna look it up online. Nothing ever really got to you, between the ages of 5 and actually becoming, a full-fledged computer scientist. That, nothing really got to you that this is too much math, this is too hard, this is blah blah blah.
Well, luckily I was lucky enough to my mother was a computer scientist as well.
Oh wow.
So when I was in middle school, I went to a middle magnet school that had a computer science kind of program that was tied to it. And then I went to a high school that had a magnet program that had, computer sciencey programming tasks. So I was constantly I knew exactly what path I wanted to make, and maybe it was even at a young age, I guess I just knew that like this was like the dream, and I never really imagined because when I grew up, I didn't see the big AAA games. You know, I saw the games that were made by 10 to 20 people, um,
Mhm.
the little small things. So for me, seeing those, it made me think that okay, I can really do this. You know, they weren't that complex back then. I mean, they had a lot of things going on, but they had they were very simplified, and it was all about just the gameplay and not necessarily about the graphics or the immersion that is the key nowadays.
Right.
So does your mom say my son the coder or my son the game developer now?
Yes, she does.
Okay, that's great. So so you got it. You decide to take the leap and do this. So kind of outline the next step. So you had this idea for a game in mind, and what was the next step? You started coding. What did you do?
So the original concept of the game came up first as just a joke of me and my friends. We were like, why isn't there more games that we see that are kind of like, Battlestar Galactica, seeing Wing Commander, seeing those things in action. We didn't really see games or worlds where you're actually playing on this big ship, and you're just watching the lives of the crewmen live out their day-to-day lives and as they travel around.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where it started, and with any good design, you have to start off with a huge design doc where you write up all the ideas behind the game, what people are going to do, and then where it kind of grows from there. What will be available to players? How can the players actually affect your simulation? Um, and that's just how it kind of ballooned out.
hmm And that took about how long, you think?
The original, just writing up the concept, probably about a month just to get it fully fleshed out.
Okay.
But then as time goes on and you realize scope and how much work it's going to take, some things might get pushed back down the line or pulled out of the concept, that kind of thing.
All right. So when you finally got all this fleshed out and you sat down at the computer and you're looking at the blank screen and you're going to start writing and coding this, what were some of the decisions that you had to make as far as the technical side? I mean, how did you choose what language, or was there going to be a game developer software? What did you choose, and the reasons behind that in creating?
I think Unreal Engine 4 just released for free or something. So
Yeah, that wasn't available at the time.
right.
What was available was there were several mobile engines that were freely available. Unity was very popular at the time.
Hmm.
So we actually chose like the first step was what engine we wanted to use. We could have wrote one from scratch, but that would take a long time. And for what we wanted to accomplish, we didn't necessarily need to do that. So we just picked the Unity engine. With our own, very popular with C Sharp, just from my programming background,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we kind of went about it. And then as time went on, typically with indie games, the team size went from 2 down to 1, just because people realize how difficult it is. Over time, how many months actually go into this is a big deal. You have to really, really be committed. So then, that also changes your scope and your design docs and things like that.
So, how long between you're sitting down and picking the engine and everything, and to the point where you got with it something that you could actually show or get started? About how long time of development?
I say about 3 or 4 months, because when you start, I mean, I just started with little like a blue image represents one thing, like a little box represents one character,
Mhm.
versus a fully fleshed out sprite who's animating and doing,
Mhm.
eating his food while he's sitting down. So we didn't start with that as a programming. You
Okay.
start with just the basics,
Okay.
and then over time we start fleshing out how the game's going to look and things like that.
Okay. And any way along the line did you become discouraged and say, "What the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? Let me go back to my
It's like here I am. I'm trying to animate a gentleman brushing his teeth because that's what people do before bed, and I have to spend a week getting the motion of the brushing right.
I mean,
Yes.
did you have any doubts along the way that you may have made a wrong decision, or were you confident?
I'd probably say I I had probably about three uh not stress breakdowns, but that kind of thing, like panic attacks, like oh my God, what am I doing? Um, and I probably have gotten two serious illnesses from just stress, like
Yeah.
working so late and not really being able to relax.
Wow.
So, um, but at the same time, I really enjoy what I do.
Mhm.
So it was kind of that payoff. I just have, I've now gotten to the point where I could say, okay, I may need to take a day or two off and relax.
Did,
And
did you get
um,
did your wife support you? I mean, you had family support and saying that's okay. You're gonna be, you're on the right track, Sharif, and and keep
oh,
at it.
most of my family thought I'm crazy. Uh, they couldn't believe I left like a really great job, which is a great job, to do something that I'm just passionate about. Because, like you said earlier in the show, there is no guarantee of success.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's
but
part of being entrepreneurial. I mean, everyone who does it, there's always that little bit of risk. I mean, how do they feel about what you're doing now? Do they feel better now?
they feel a lot better. I mean, now that they can't believe that they see the website, they see the game up on Steam. Some people couldn't even believe that the game is actually out on Steam and selling. So now they're like, oh, he actually could do it. The doubt kind of goes away. Um, Now I say that from like the extended family. Of course, like the immediate family. They always want to try to believe in you and things like that, like your mom and stuff like that. But um,
Well, she's a computer scientist. I mean, she has to have faith in you. I mean,
yeah, I mean, but her work was like she knows how hard it is from doing punch cards back in the day of
oh
her
yeah,
computer science. So
yeah.
um,
So she's impressed with what you've accomplished so far. I mean, and the way you're doing it.
oh yeah, she's even impressed with just the nowadays like the YouTubers who walk through the game and talk about the story of line of the game because there's like an introduction as you start playing, and they're just shocked. And she's just amazed basically. So it's always a good feeling to see that, just not even just from her, but from friends and fans in general.
Okay, so did she ever offer to help, or was this pretty much beyond what she's capable of
I
doing?
don't think I would have took her out from a programming. I love my mom, but she's programming. She moved more into like the project management kind of aspects of things.
Got
So
it.
she was not as in depth programming. But she's been a big help. Just
How about feedback? General feedback. She played the game, or she might make a suggestion. Hey, why don't you do it this way or that way? I mean, did you get some feedback from her?
no, she's not very. Most of my family aren't much gamers in that aspect. So most of my feedback came from friends. That was one of the best things about being at ZeniMax was some of my good friends there actually did play the game, and some of them are real testers. So they were able to help test the game in some aspects.
Okay, so you got some insight from that. Did you put out like a beta to the public to say, to get some consumer feedback as what they might like? I mean, did you go through that, any kind of phases like that, or is it all just your friends?
I mean, lately over the past couple of years, the Kickstarter and Steam Greenlight and all these other kind of here's my idea, help me make it a reality. Those are really starting to take off. Like, did you go through Steam Greenlight maybe?
Yes, I did go through the green light process. People really liked what was being shown, and I got greenlit within a month or a month and a half, I would say.
Very
Um,
cool.
so
Very
that was great feeling too, because it was completely surprising.
well. It's a validation of what you're doing.
Exactly.
I mean, to get that validation, at least you can sleep better at night. It's not that I'm not crazy. They're actually believing what I'm doing. So that had to make you feel real good about everything in the direction that you were taking.
That's correct. Yeah, it really did help because I originally was going to wait even longer, just keep adding more to the game before I did do it. And then one of my friends said, "Hey, just it looks great already. Just do it." And
Put it out there. Yeah.
that push kind of did it. So
All right. Well, excellent. All right. So the pushes happen, and the game is called The Sentient. So tell us a little bit about the game itself. What is your game, The Sentient?
okay, the Sentient is as you said, a space exploration sim. You take on the role of the first and only sentient life form, meaning you are like you are HAL, or you are the best of Earth technology that has ever come to pass.
Uh-huh.
So in doing so, you're able to basically they come to you for help. Earth goes out into space, and sadly we're greatly behind as far as our technology compared to aliens. So when we first encounter them in the game, they greatly outclass us as far as their ships and their capabilities. So they kind of need you to quickly iterate through that knowledge, determine like how to make the mankind excel and reach the same level of technology that they have. By doing so, you're basically doing experimentations by going out into space. You're finding random events, and you're making your decisions based on you as a player. What should be the best choice of action? Do you always want to just attack an alien, or do you maybe want to just like run or try to understand it a bit more? So that's kind of how the game flows. And then as you bring that technology back to Earth, you then get to use your high level of technology to greatly and rapidly increase technology. So you can increase your ship's weapons and all your abilities, your ability to talk to aliens. You can communicate way faster by doing so.
Can you give us some further examples? You gave us a couple of simple examples. Give us some of the decisions that you may come up against in this decision-making process in the Sentia.
Sure. So in the game, you have to recruit a crew, and each of your crew members have perks and daily needs. So every crew member one crew member may be lazy, and he has to sleep a lot longer during the day, and there may be a crew member who has to eat twice as much as other crew members. You also have crew members who are very intelligent, so as they work on their the consoles, they level up a lot faster. So as you choose your crew, you then go out into outer space, and then you may meet a alien ship or a pirate ship. Let's say, for example, there are actual pirate humans out in space, and they may say, "Hey, we're a man down. Give us one of your crew members, or we're going to destroy your ship."
Oh.
And you could say, as the AI, you could say, take the guy. My ship is more important than maybe you have a whole bunch of research that is pending that you need to bring back to Earth immediately. And you could say, here, take my crew member. I'll go back and we'll just hire a new guy. Maybe that's for the betterment of mankind. Or you could just say, screw you, I'm going to fight you, and fire at the guy, and then risk the chance of, will I lose my ship or will I destroy theirs? So there's a lot of like little give and takes. Or you can meet so for another example is you could meet an alien out in space, and when you first meet this alien, one alien race is a water-based alien, so all you may hear is bubbles and gurgling sounds because you don't understand what they're actually saying yet. So you could say, well, here's some of my supplies. Maybe they won't bother us if we just drop off some supplies. Maybe you can just run away from the alien because there's no form of communication, or maybe you can send peace signals to the alien, like white flags or things like that of that nature, and hope that they might interpret what you're trying to say.
So these are all these different decision processes. How permanent are these decision-making processes?
Well, I assume losing your ship is.
Well, do you get to reset, or do you basically it's all over, or you're wounded? How is the game structured?
Okay, so say you lose your life or your ship out in space. All the crew members that you have leveled up with, and have brought out in space, they're permanently gone. Their lives are dead, basically.
Okay.
But being an artificial intelligence, you basically are able to upload your life, or you're able to basically reboot yourself back at Earth. And in the introduction of the game, it explains how you were attacked. Like they tried to get rid of you in the beginning because they thought you were a threat to human lives, when you're really not. You were just trying to learn more about human nature. So you lose your crew, all the research that you had out in space, and then you return back to start with a new ship, because basically Earth is funding this endeavor, so they want you to succeed. So they're paying for all your equipment, all your ships, and that kind of thing.
Okay. And so basically you get to start out again. You maintain some of the characteristics.
Well, I assume that any technology you brought back to Earth would, I guess, carry over.
Correct. All the technology, and then as you progress further out in space, so that location is then cleared. Either it's marked as, safe for future adventurers or future space explorers, or it was marked as too dangerous. So you can't return back to that area upon your death. And the further away from Earth you go, the more dangerous it becomes. So if you continually mess up, the game will progressively get harder and harder because you didn't bring that technology back to Earth.
Okay.
I get that, and this is starting to sound, and of course it's not going to be one-to-one comparison at all, but there are a lot of our listeners. I know Star Fortress is listening, and he's probably foaming at the mouth by this. But, this is starting to sound like your own version of Star Trek, where you actually get to go back to Earth every once in a while, but your own version of Star Trek, where you have a crew, you have to do a mission, you find new you find new cultures, creatures, what have you, and it's kind of like Star Trek, the game, but obviously this is completely created by you, and you put a lot of hard work into this. But I think the idea of being the first ones to do something, and having kind of that little bit of an open world, a lot of people want that, and let's face it, there haven't really been too many good Star Trek games lately. I mean, is there a little influence there about that idea?
Definitely. It's definitely about the big central theme of Star Trek is like exploring the great beyond, right? Like the final frontier. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where the game is going, where we are in that kind of that's where Earth is just getting to that point in technology. So they're going out and exploring and trying to figure out, where can we colonize next and things of that nature. Now, granted, the game is still in early access, so.
Sharif, I'll tell you what. We're gonna have to pause here, and then when we come back, we'll continue talking about your inspirations for this game.
Sure.
Star Trek is one of them. Okay. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Uncaged Studio is our guest. The CEO, Sharif Gaines, is here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Big blonde hair, small hands, lots of TV time. Who? Charo? Hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Limitless Innovation 7-port Charge Hub. Whenever we get a charging device, we like to start with a math. Limitless Innovation sent their Charge Hub 7-port USB charging station. Its power transformer is rated for 44 watts, roughly 1.2 amps per port if they were all ever pulling down all they could. In real life, with most ports pulling more nominal draws, Some of the ports could pull as much as 2.4 amps. That's good service, a lot better than we've seen from many USB power products. With this, of course, there's a plus in having 7 available power ports all in one place. Bottom line, the Limitless Innovations Charge Hub offers USB charging to the 7th power. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show, and we are here 33 minutes past the hour. In the first hour, we're talking to Uncaged Studios and Mr. Sharif Gaines, and we were just getting into some of the inspirations behind this because while the game, and by the way, if you're going to watch the video portion of the show, we're going to start playing some video and looking at pictures and screenshots of the game.
Cool.
But but the game itself is something that I feel like a lot of our listeners have been clamoring for a long time, which is a truly in-depth space exploration game, because they've seen things like I'm not going to say it's a one-to-one, but like Stargate and Star Trek and what have you, all these different things where as you were saying before the break, encountering the unknown, exploring the unknown, the final frontier. So, where did you get your inspiration from, so that I think our listeners have a better idea of kind of what you were going for?
Sure. So yes, Star Trek was definitely a big inspiration. Just some of the episodes like I said, Stargate. Battlestar Galactica. There's some new features that are coming over in the next couple months that will really hammer some of those kind of ideas out. But as far as gaming is concerned, some of the big features as well were like The Sims for the crew lifestyle, like actually living on the actual ship.
Mm-hmm.
Pixel Piracy was a game about exploring kind of around the open seas, so it's kind of similar aspects in that kind of regard. And then a very popular game that we're often compared against is FTL. Although FTL is not a simulation game in that aspect, it's more of a strategy space game, space combat type of game. So there's a lot of inspirations. We even have a little bit of inspiration from games like Theme Hospital, where you're building out the inside of your base or your rooms in a specific format that brings happiness and impacts your crew members' fun and lifestyles, I guess. So there's a lot of inspiration from that kind of perspective.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I know that whenever we talk about new games and games that people want, we get so many emails saying that I still play the original Star Trek games because they really haven't come out with a good new one yet, and they're always hunting for the latest one. But just looking at the video there that we just showed and seeing it, I mean, it's not going to be the next Skyrim, or the Elder Scrolls Online. The graphics are obviously not Halo 5, but the graphics are definitely a part of the game because it's something that you don't really see nowadays with all these huge different engines and whatnot. But the graphics are definitely unique. Why did you decide to go with that look and feel? Like did that really help you tell your story with all the sprite pixel looking pictures?
Yeah, I mean, part of it too was a bit of a callback to some of those retro-esque games. When you look at a game like Skyrim or something like that, you get a sense of what you expect in the game as well. When you do that much graphically, a lot of times, often seen, I should say, you then run the risk of not enough gameplay elements. So you have all the visual beauty behind the game, but you miss out on drilling down into like a deeper, complex game. It just becomes a game by the numbers. You hit a button, it attacks, and if you really break it down, that's pretty much all the game is. Whereas here, having the simpler graphics, especially with the team size that we had, I could do a lot more with what's available by simplifying that kind of aspect.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you went through Greenlight and stuff like that. Obviously, it sounds like your audience doesn't really mind, as you said, the simpler the simpler stuff. But has this kind of led you to be able to make more variation? Because seeing some of these spaceships, like, do you get like a choice of 5 different spaceships, or do you get like a choice of 20 different looking kind of people, in terms of sprites? Like, how much variety is there in actual graphics or assets?
So as you saw, like if you were to look at one of the screenshots, everything in that room can be fully customized and placed in however you want. So you do get that kind of aspect. Like if you want your command deck on that top floor, that's up to you. If you want it on the bottom, you can move it anywhere. And it doesn't just necessarily mean like in other games where you plop a room down and it's always two width or something like a set width or size.
Mhm.
In this game, you actually can customize the size of each individual room. So you can say that my command room is going to be huge, with the trade-off being that I'm going to have a small little bar that the crew member can relax in. The whole experimentation perspective comes from that aspect. We're still adding more. Like I said, the game is still currently in early access, so we're still adding more features, more ships, like you mentioned, more combat options, and more overall object designs. And that's going to just continue to flow in over time.
Right. And getting a little more into gameplay here, not sure how you play your video games, but depending on how I feel that day, sometimes I'll be very diplomatic and I'll do this, talk a lot, and then sometimes you just want to kind of blow stuff up and be aggressive. So what does the sentient kind of lend itself better to? Is it all about diplomacy and finding new stuff and kind of being diplomatic, or can I be I'm going to put all my money into a bigger gun because bigger guns are awesome and I'll get stuff for it? Like, is it one route is the better route?
No, and I guess that's kind of what harpens back to the play the way you want aspect of our games, or what I'm trying to strive towards is we're trying to make both paths viable, like every path viable. Like if you want to avoid combat, then you should be pumping points into alien communications, and you should be pumping it into eventually we'll have abilities to run away from aliens, or not engage in such conflicts, like try to avoid them as best as possible. But if you feel like combat is the most important aspect and you gear your ship towards that, that should be a viable path as well. Now, having said that, over time we're also going to implement things like factions, and the more you keep hurting the same alien races, the more they'll remember this. They'll remember your ship, and you could become like a major enemy to them. So that's kind of things that we're going to keep playing with. Got to test and verify whether or not how well that works in gameplay and aspects, and get a lot of feedback. And that's kind of why we went, like you mentioned earlier, the Kickstarter route and things of that nature. We kind of went a little different route by going the early access route, fairly early actually in development. And the reason being is that we want to get that feedback from people. We want to get the players to actually feel a little sense of ownership as well. Like, we're not trying to make a game and just shove it down people's throats. We want to make a game together, kind of. And the best way to do so was via early access. So of course there will be some bugs. There may be some minor issues. But that's kind of where we want to go. Instead of wasting, I wouldn't say wasting, but a Kickstarter campaign can take you months to get it, looking great and contacting the right people and the constant updates that you have to do. We can spend that time updating the game based on feedback immediately. We've already implemented things from what customers have said and made suggestions about on a weekly basis now. So
Wow.
That's been great.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, obviously you're well into it, and you mentioned feedback. What are the lessons have you kind of learned so far from developing this game?
The biggest one is scope, right? A lot of people will see a game and they'll say, "I wish it could do 800 different things." And I guess one of the greatest lessons I learned was, you really just can't do everything. and you just have to focus on what you feel is right, or what people really want. And the problem too is with feedback is sometimes not all feedback is great. What one person may want, 1,000 people may hate. So you really have to make sure you do this play testing and working with the community and throwing out suggestions and ideas, and not taking it personal as you develop, because something that you may think is a great idea may not be.
Yeah, well, that's very, very true. And you can't, you're right, you can't take it personally. And as you said, I mean, this is the human condition. One person might say, "Oh, you really need to do this," and then you throw it out to the community and say, "What do you think?" And everybody else hates it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's like, hey, we put a mini game of Cooking Mama in the middle of the show, and it's like no one was really asking for that, but that one guy.
yeah.
Right.
Why do you think that happens? I mean, why do you think one guy thinks he's got the greatest answer? You know, oh, you really need to do that, and then it's so out of whack from what the rest of the community thinks.
Yeah, like you said, some part of it to me it just seems like human nature. Like I think now too we have a much broader sense of I don't want to say ownership, but entitlement, I guess is the better word, where we feel like I paid this money, it should do this, this, and this, no matter what the description of the game possibly says or the way the game acts. So it's just kind of like we have to break that down and understand what would actually benefit everyone. Is it, and I guess that's what takes the longest amount of time is I can implement a feature relatively quickly. It doesn't take me that long based on how I designed the game. Was to create a strong infrastructure and then build on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it doesn't take us long to add features. It's just the problem of does this feature actually work? And that is the big thing, because it is impacting hundreds or thousands of people potentially.
Sure, exactly. So, so some good lessons learned from developing your game. If you were to give some advice for other aspiring game developers, other than the fact, don't do that, don't do it. No, what would you say?
The biggest thing I would tell other game developers, I've seen a lot of talks by some of these great industry people even now, and a lot of them, I would just say, don't let others tell you that you can't do something. The road will be tough, and there's going to be many people who will doubt you, but you just have to continue on. Like, the amount of knowledge that you will gain is worth it, whether or not you're successful or not.
Well, did that happen? I thought that didn't happen to you. I mean, were a lot of people saying to you, "Don't do it"? I mean,
no. I mean, like, now I'm listening. Now I'm watching. There's several industry vets that I've seen recently posting videos or telling an audience that, hey, you're not going to be successful. Deal with it. Maybe you will. And I just don't want people to not try. And that's the biggest thing to me. I think that if you're really passionate about something, it may not be successful, but don't let that rule over your thoughts. Like, don't let that completely stop you, because you may make something amazing or wonderful, but you may not. But at the same time, you're going to learn so much.
Well, if you don't do it, you're never going to know.
Exactly.
Right.
And these smaller games, these games that have quite this very, very few developers behind them. There's another game that I'm sure you've heard of, Stardew Valley, and that just went viral just a couple days ago. Where thousands upon thousands of people are buying it, and it has like crazy amounts of highly rated reviews and stuff like that. And that was all developed by one person. And it has a very similar feel to the Sentient, although that's more of a throwback to like kind of Zelda kind of deal. But it just goes to show that probably you won't make it. But there's plenty of instances where people have a vision, they have a dream, and hey, what's the harm in chasing it? And sometimes, hey, you do get lucky and you do become a hit.
Well, do you think it's all luck? I mean, look at.
There has to be an element of luck to it. There has to be.
Look at Flappy Bird or what was it, Exploding Kittens? I don't know how well that did, but I mean, here's a guy who developed the game called Flappy Bird. It caught on so much they claimed that he basically quit making it because it was he was getting too much money from it, which I find hard to believe. But this is what he said. Uh, what are your thoughts on something like that?
I would say, I mean, there's a little bit of in some cases there's a lot of luck. Stardew Valley is a great game. He also has a publisher backing him as well.
That's true.
So it's not just him. He has like a QA team, all those kind of things that go into that kind of publisher deal that is usually set up. But games like Flappy Bird, there is luck, but I think that most people shouldn't base their company around that idea because, like you said, luck may not happen. One of the best talks I think I've seen was someone say, you just have to treat it like a business. If you want people to know about your game, you have to work that kind of aspect. You have to talk with the media, or you don't just do things in a bubble and hope that like PewDiePie or somebody will play your game and you'll just rise to the top immediately. You can sell a bad game. Like there are bad games out there that are doing really, really well. Like extremely well.
Doesn't that make you want to hit your forehead against the wall and say, why? I
mean, it's a matter of it all goes down to what are you doing it for, and that's why I say, if you really want to do it, you have to be passionate about it because the amount of hours and the time that's going to go into it is going to stress you and it's going to tire you out. And are you strong enough? Are you willing to make those sacrifices? In anything, you have to make sacrifices if you really want to be great.
But sometimes it's just the simplest little game. I mean, like Candy Crush, or I mean, that really wasn't that complex an idea yet. For example, but now it's huge. Yeah,
I mean, there's also the problem of a lot of people. I think this is a pure human nature. A lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. So when you make a game that brings back something from your childhood, or is like a very copy of something that we're all familiar with, we were all familiar with a match 3 type of game, which is Candy Crush. A lot of people are very familiar with the Harvest Moon aspects of Stardew Valley. Those things are what you expect and what you look for in that game. Whereas something new and different, if it doesn't automatically play like something you've already played, most people get afraid of it. They'll say, "Oh, it's not like this game," and they'll, toss it to the side. Because it's tough to go through that not knowing aspects of, especially when a lot of people claim that they're gamers. So if they don't understand something, it just must be a bad game.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I want to kind of finish up here, but where do you think, as a game developer, that the games industry will be in, let's say, the next 5 or maybe even next 10 years?
Yeah, so I have like a 2-prong answer to this kind of. I definitely see the VR taking off a bit, but the biggest problem I've had with VR is the feedback issue. When I swing my sword, I want to feel like I hit something. Mm-hmm. And until that actually gets fixed and brought back up to speed, I don't see it going as far as I would expect. But I think they're constantly working on that right now, and maybe if that gets solved in the next couple of years, I could see a big influence in more VR technology. But on the non-VR front, I'd say the thing that scares me a little bit is that the idea of that all games kind of should be free, where a lot of free-to-play games are building up more and more and more over time, and it's causing a lot of bad practices. And it often causes people to pay more for the actual game, buying little extra things that if they would have just spent $5 for in the beginning, it would have been okay. It's a weird mindset that a cup of coffee or something small that we buy on a daily basis, we don't see that same value in something that brings you entertainment for 3 or 4 hours or 3 times the amount of time.
I run into that so often. Like I was and still am huge into World of Warcraft, but like my friends, they all kind of leaped onto League of Legends because like, oh, it's free to play, whatever, blah blah. I really can't swing the $15 a month to play World of Warcraft. But then at the end of the day, you ask them, how much money did you spend on cosmetic skins and things that you purchase completely by choice, and they're like, oh, I have about $3,000 into this account. And it's like, so you can't do $15 a month, but over the course of 3 to 4 years, you'll pay $3,000.
Yep.
Oh,
I've seen that a lot in the industry.
yeah.
In-app purchases really can bite you without you realizing, because
But people, but it gives you that feedback. It's like, oh, this this $15 skin, it's really worth it. I really enjoy this, and like over the course of it, you're absolutely right there, Sharif. That at the end of the day, even though you may not be paying anything up front, you may be paying for more than you're probably getting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the problem too with with games is the cost of making these great expansive games is just growing. Millions of dollars to make some of these games, and if they're not raising the price of the games, they have to do it in other aspects. And the DLC or these add-ons are kind of where it's going.
Well, what have you decided to do with the Sentient? Are there in-app purchases? I mean, what's the business model for this game?
Right now, the business model is you buy it and you own it and you get all future updates 100% free.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, that's kind of where I wanted to go, especially for this game. I wanted to make something great with other people, and right now, since it's in early access, it is a little bit of a leap of faith with some people because it's not complete. So I don't want to milk anyone for more money as the game is being developed or anything like that. I just want to work with people to make something great. That's it.
What's the cost of the Sentient? How much is it?
Right now, it's $12.99. Typical simulation type games run in that kind of realm, and whereas some actually run a lot more. But it's just to fully get all our features and things that we need over time. So.
And so far it's selling successfully at that rate.
Yeah, definitely able to maintain our current working, and we're getting people now. The one issue, a lot of people wait for Steam sales nowadays. Like that's very common. So a lot of people put it on their wish list. So we see a lot of those and waiting for a potential sale and things like that. So we're definitely getting sales. We're definitely getting people still wish listing, waiting for a potential sale down the line. So it's definitely growing, and we're getting great feedback over time.
Excellent. So I have to ask you this: what's your favorite game, and why?
So one of the my favorite game of all time is a game called Planescape Torment, and constantly we always get a question of are games art? Can it be appreciated at an emotional level as well as what you're seeing? And at the heart of Planescape Torment, there was a deep philosophical question of what can change the nature of a man. And as you play the game, you kind of live the life of one of these characters, and you're seeing what happened in like his previous lives and what he's accomplished over time, and throughout all that he has done, does he ever really change? Do you ever change, whether you're doing good deeds or bad deeds, or is it just your nature? And like that's kind of like the heart of that game. It just made me think of like so much more as what games can be to people.
Do you want to add that element to this game, or maybe the next game that you write? I mean, do you want to get that deep? I mean, is that do you want to do that?
It's something that I potentially am looking into. I am not a great philosophy major or anything like that, so I'm not really as deep as that would per se. But it would be an amazing thing to try to elicit that kind of emotions out of people and things like that.
It would be. Well, again, if you want to check it out, you can go to www.uncaged-studios, uncaged-studios.com, and you can see the website there.
Or also the-sentient.com, which I also assume that the Sentient can be pretty easily found on the Steam store.
Yep, or Google, or yep, correct.
Right. Or if you're driving or whatever it is, you can't write it down. Just remember to go to computeramerica.com, and right there on our homepage we have a link to Uncaged Studios, and you can see all of that. That stays up for the week, and then of course that also it just goes to our archive file, so it'll always be available. So in case you want to go that route, you can. again, $12.99, and now technically it's released, but it's not. You say it's not finished. You're going to continue to make additions to it.
Correct.
When do you think it'll be finished?
The common thing in games is when it's done. I would say at least another 6+ months. I mean, we're updating every week right now.
Okay.
So hopefully soon, but I also want to be happy with it, and I want to make sure fans are happy with it as well. So that's the key.
Steve, is there a try before you buy, or you just you buy it outright and get the updates for free? How does that work?
You buy and you get all the updates for free. Steam also has a refund policy. You know, if you don't like a game in the first couple of hours, you can just ask for a refund.
Okay. That's good as gold. That's like a try before you buy.
Yeah.
And give it a shot, and I'm sure. But it is a terrific game, and Shreve, I want to thank you for being here on the show and sharing some of your insights to our listeners, and what was involved, how you got to where it is you've gotten now, and to all the entrepreneurial listeners out there who are thinking about doing something like you're doing. I think that you've given them some really excellent guidance. And
thank you for having me on here.
Listen, hey. It was a real pleasure having here on the show. Again, it's Uncaged Studios. The game is The Sentient, and you can check it out at all the different places that we said, or head over to computeramerica.com and download it for yourself. We should have you back again, in 6 months or something, Sharif, and just kind of give us an update of what's going on in your life.
Yeah, let us know when it's out in its first true form, and yeah, we'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I'd love to be back on. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. All right. Again, Sharif, thank you for being here with Computer America. Have a good one. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good one.
All right. Coming up in the next 30 seconds, we're going to start doing our computer and technology news, brought to you by Somewhere Utilities, the official optimization software. A lot of interesting stories, including the Chevy Bolt is about ready to start making its way. And also an Amazon video with the NFL, a reality show this summer. We've got a lot of cool stories coming up. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll bring you hour 2 of the Computer America Show. Please stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Very interesting first hour talking to Sharif Gaines. Some interesting insights into someone who's developed and made his own game, and not only the game itself, but the motivations behind it, what he kind of had to do to get started.
Yeah, it's not by any means an easy thing to do.
No, but if you're passionate about this type of thing, certainly your ability to do something like this now in this day and age is so much easier than it was like 10, 15 years ago. When you had to go, or even longer, when you had to go. It's like this with anything.
And I'll say that, 10, 15 years ago, the best you could probably do, maybe a book, how to make video games for dummies. But, other than that, like you had to go to, school, learn from someone else or whatnot. Nowadays, anything you really want, this gentleman, Sharif, he had the benefit of, being in the industry before. But anything you really want to do with computers, YouTube has all the tutorials you'll ever need.
Sure. I mean, it really, and this is true. I don't care if you're writing a book or writing a song. Most all of the endeavors today, or you're looking for venture capital to start new companies, it's so much easier, or so much more accessible to you today with the advent of the internet and things, and these things are made available to you now, which just wasn't the case 10, 15, 20 years ago. It just wasn't like this,
Mm-hmm.
So we live in some interesting times, and this certainly is you should be able to take advantage of it. You have a lot better chance now today than you would have, let's say, 10, 15 years ago. Again, if you missed any portion of the show, we archive all of our programs at computeramerica.com. So just head over there, click on the archives selection on the menu bar. That's on any page at computeramerica.com, and you can listen to the show again. You can watch the show. We make all of it available. Again, you can listen to us on Apple's iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, the Blog Talk Radio Network. We also have it on the TuneIn Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network, all the different places you can listen to the show. Again, all accessible and available at your one-stop place for our internet home of a radio broadcast, computeramerica.com. So, and I think you're right. I think we should have him back in 6 months when it's all up and running. We should have him back on the show and see how things are doing for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So,
the one thing I did want to mention, because this is kind of our Gamer Tuesday. It is a Tuesday. We had someone from a gaming guest on Point of View, so kind of our Gamer Tuesday.
Yeah.
But one interesting aspect I kind of heard about video games, and in particular virtual reality, and a game that is at first going to seem like a big pusher of the video games, but going forward, video game developers are a little hesitant about, is the idea that horror games, what have you, and virtual reality obviously seems like a perfect match, because if you like the idea of being kind of spooked, afraid, scared, what have you, the immersion that the virtual reality kind of brings in is just
make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Hmm?
It'll make the hairs on the back of your neck.
Worse than that, what game developers are actually worried about, because of some early testing with the idea, is that they're getting into these games, and traditionally when you play something like Fear or what have you, on a console game, you're kind of sitting back away from the television, and something may change, something may move, or something may jump out at you, and at worst case you jump on the couch and you kind of laugh it off and you keep playing. But in virtual reality, because it's so immersive, they're finding that it's too easy, that people are triggering their fight or flight instincts. Like they're not being afraid by the circumstances. It's that very primal, basic reaction we all have in us to either fight or run away. And it's too easy for the game developers to try to do something, and it just instead of it being instead of getting your mind racing, thinking, oh my god, what is that? Is that thing going to hurt me? Blah blah blah. It's just at a very basic level, and they're finding people dropping their controllers, throwing their controllers, falling to the ground, running into walls. Just
wow.
They're hurting. They're essentially hurting themselves in their testing, because VR is so immersive that it's triggering that very primal instinct.
Maybe you can only play VR if you have a rubberized room, or if you're strapped down into your chair.
Well, that's just the thing, is that how exactly do you market a game when your test subjects, when the people playing the early versions of the game, one of them may have ran into their TV and he kind of knocked it over, or one of them got a bloody nose because he ran into a wall, or someone broke their controller because they dropped it on the ground, or one of them fell on the floor because something jumped out at him and he fell backwards. And this is a real concern about virtual reality, is do you force people that they now have to sit down when they play it? Do you have certain restrictions? Do you have to make it less intense so that people don't get freaked out? This is a problem that they're running into. That virtual reality, unfortunately, is too good for this particular use case.
Well, what do you think what is going to happen? I mean, they're not going to turn it down. Maybe they can make it adjustable, a fear level.
I don't know how you make the intensity of a game adjustable like you would the graphics, but no, it's gonna be one of those things where I think a few pioneering games are gonna have to say, all right, here's our virtual reality, and here's our horror game for virtual reality, and it's gonna be a learn as you go kind of process. And just like back in the days when Wii was first released and they had the Wiimotes and people were playing, Wii bowling and Wii tennis, and people were throwing their controllers through their TVs, or throwing their controllers and hitting people in the back of the head. Like, it's just something that we're gonna have to learn because of new technology. Whereas with Wii bowling or Wii tennis, it was, swinging a controller, and before, back in the day, you could have someone sitting right next to you on the couch. But with a motion controller, you swing your arm wide to return a tennis serve, and you hit your friend in the face. It's just something we're gonna have to learn. And I mean, we kind of overcame it with motion controllers. That's
Well,
we now know to give people 8 feet and be safe. But horror games, that's going to be a whole nother thing.
maybe they'll have a fact, an adjustable factor, an FF factor, a fear or flight, flight or fight factor, and you can adjust it from 1 to the simplest all the way up to 10, which is things leaping out at you left and right, and scaring you.
I don't know how you would even tune something like that. It's like, oh, instead of the scary blood dripping monster jumping out at you, we're gonna have a kitten jump out at you because you chose 1 on the fight or flight.
Could be, maybe. You say they're gonna have to do something. All right. Well, we have lots to do in the news, so I suggest we start doing some news stories. Okay. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. Oh, you dropped off? Okay. Well, that's okay. We're back. Okay. So first story is yours.
All right. First story is mine. Let's do a lot of good stories here. Let's go with this one. In case anyone out there could use an extra $10,000, and I mean, in this day and age, who couldn't use an extra $10,000?
Sure.
This is your time to shine if you know how to debug a system. So this is from Macs and PC, and Uber. Yes, the ride-sharing app Uber wants to turn software bugs into roadkill and offers up a $10,000 bounty for any bugs that you find.
Wow.
Yeah, so ride-sharing service Uber now has an official bug bounty program, one that will pay security researchers up to $10,000 per.
$10,000 per qualifying vulnerability. Okay. I guess we lost Ben again. Previous to this, Uber's bug bounty was in beta and a private affair. Launched last year, 200 security researchers unearthed nearly 100 bugs for Uber, all of which it says has been fixed. Okay. So even with a team of highly qualified and well-trained security experts, you need to be constantly on the lookout for ways to improve. This bug bounty program will help ensure that their code is as secure as possible. And this is, again, according to the Uber CEO, Joe Sullivan. He said that in a statement. He says, and our unique loyalty scheme will encourage the security community to become experts when it comes to Uber. Okay. Now, the loyalty program Sullivan refers to as a new, first-of-its-kind thing Uber is trying out. It's intended to incentivize members of the security community to dive deep in Uber's code and root out even subtle bugs. Okay. The first loyalty reward program kicks off on the 1st of May and lasts 90 days. 90 days. Anyone who finds 4 issues that have been accepted by Uber as genuine bugs will be eligible for the reward. 10,000 smackaroonies. Wow. During the loyalty session, finding the 5th issue will earn a bonus payout equivalent to 10% of the average payouts for all the other issues found in that session. That could be a lot of money. Okay. Uber's launching its bug bounty program with the help of HackerOne, a vulnerability coordination and bug bounty platform. It has several other notable clients, including Twitter, Adobe, LinkedIn, and more. Now, evidently the way it works is there are 3 tiers of these bounties. Medium issues, that's $3,000. Significant issue, which is a $5,000 payout, and critical issues, which is the $10,000 bug. Finding a vulnerability that would allow a hacker to load malicious code on Uber's production server would qualify for a top price, while rooting out bugs that an attacker could use to change Uber's homepage or expose sensitive information about its customers would fall into the significant issue category. Now, medium issues are things like being able to bypass an account validation. That would be a big one as well. And again, all these bounties and levels are going to be starting in May. And this reward program lasts 90 days. And I would assume that if it's successful, we'll be seeing a lot more of this. Yeah, and Uber is not the first one to do something like that. Google, look at Google. They've been doing this for years, and with really big. Actually, Google has a lot bigger payouts. They have these competitions where they bring people in to find exploits, and it's proven to be a huge success. What better motivation than hard cold cash to unveil things like this? So again, Uber wants you to help them run over bugs, offers up to $10,000 or even more, depending upon how many you're thinking of. And so if this appeals to you, you should definitely check this out. Again, Maximum PC's Paul Lilly wrote this story. Okay, we're continuing doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And this next story, wouldn't you know it? I mean, we just bought a brand new Vizio 4K television, 55 inches, at an incredible price. We spent about $600 for this TV. It's gorgeous. We've had it now for since the holidays. We got it in December, and to get something like that was amazing. And so it's a great TV. But evidently, Vizio is launching a new TV, the P series, that it says that remote apps will be able to control the TV, totally controlled by a remote app. And they're going on to say that remote apps are the way of the future when it comes to smart TVs. I'd like to hold an opinion, reserve my opinion on that, but that's what this article says. Again, this from a Popular Science. Dave Gershorn just wrote this and posted this a couple of hours ago. So he goes on to say that there are a lot of products that push technology for technology's sake. There are there's smart floss dispensers, smart plates, smart water bottles. Okay, we get the idea. Not necessarily really needed. He says, but the television, the TV has lagged behind in terms of meaningful innovation. Well, smart TVs are pretty darn smart. And the fact that you can upload apps to them that gives them more abilities. But he says, of course, screen resolution has gotten a lot better. He says the TV sets are thinner than they've ever been before. That's true. They are just getting wafer thin. It's just amazing. So easy to hang on a wall if you want to. He says, but the way we control our TVs and consume content through them haven't changed since the invention of the remote control. Now, I have to take issue with him here a little bit, because I'm looking at the remote control for my new Vizio TV, and boy, this is a lot more than just a remote control. You have your normal things that you have, channel up, channel down, all the things. But when you flip the remote on the backside, you have a complete QWERTY keyboard there and some additional controls. So a lot of the apps that you are using on the TV, you can type in commands in a way that you could not do with a remote control. So I think some remote controls have really blossomed they've really filled out, and they seem to be doing a really terrific job. But they go on to say that that this is the article says with Vizio's new P series televisions, Vizio is pushing the industry toward a welcome eventuality, a world without TV remotes. And again, I'm going a little worried here because I know I have used my smartphone as a remote. I've had the Google Chromecast, and it allows me to use my smartphone as a remote control. And I have to say that I didn't like it that much. Granted, it's become a lot more responsive when it came out. But the last thing I really want, I like having a remote that's dedicated as a remote, and I can use it, pick it up, toss it down, just do what I need to do with it without having to have my smartphone active at all time. But let's go on to see what he has to say. Now, he goes on to say the Vizio's new line of televisions comes with a specialty Android tablet that acts as the TV's remote. Okay, well, all right. If you have a dedicated tablet for the remote, I can sort of see that. But, the tablet, again, requires both hands, to hold the tablet and use your thumbs or fingers on it. I like, be able to hold the remote in one hand and just finger what I need. But anyway, this television series now comes with a specialty Android tablet that acts as the TV's remote. Yet it also has an app available on the Google Play Store or Apple's App Store. So any Apple or Android smartphone or tablet can be a fully functional remote control as well. So it comes with a specialty Android tablet, but you can also use your smartphone, your own, whatever you have existing, so you can use that as well. Okay. Now, while the TV does come with an extremely pared down remote, okay, it can really only accomplish the most basic functions. All right. Now, I see Ben is joining us via telephone. Ben, what's happened here?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I believe something that happens to a lot of people is that I think my power supply just died. So.
Oh, ouch. That's not good. Okay.
Yeah, so fun thing. So I think I'm going to join you for the rest of the show on here.
Yeah.
And then we'll fix it after the show. But
okay.
The show must go on, so please continue.
All right, so I'm doing this article here about Vizio's new TV is controlled entirely by the app, and I'm doing that story here. And it says, while the TV does come with an extremely pared down remote, it can really only accomplish the most basic of functions. Vizio has made it clear that the smartphone or tablet is the way we should control TVs from now on. The Vizio SmartCast app pulls in data from all of the online or cable services to automatically show sources for what you want to watch. Now, to do this, Vizio worked with Google to center the entire TV watching experience around content, not content providers. You choose what you watch on your phone and then send it to the TV. If you're flipping channels, you use the phone. Choosing a movie on Netflix, use the phone. And everyone in the room can have a say if they have the app. Now, he says this is more than a Chromecast enabled TV in that the dedicated app can control all settings of a television. Also, the SmartCast app congregates all of your services in one place. All right. But the experience doesn't end when you choose something to watch. Vizio wants the second screen to be important throughout the experience. The included tablet, remember it comes with one, is a nod to how people are watching TV in 2016. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're looking things up about our favorite characters. We're sending messages about what we're watching. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I buy that, though. I really don't. Like, they've tried this before with video games where you and the one that comes to mind is a game called Destiny by Bungie, and they tried this before where you play the video game and then you connect to an app so that like when you log into your character you also log into the app on your phone, and at the same time like you'll get relevant information on your app to what you're doing in the game in real time. So it was trying to, it was trying to do the whole dual screen thing, and it didn't take off. Like, people really didn't enjoy it. They found that a small, like, when they made the information so important that you had to use the second screen just to enjoy the game, they found people hated that idea, that they hated the fact that they had to use a second device just to get everything that they should be getting from one screen. So for Vizio to say that this is the way that people are doing it in 2016, I think people are watching TV while also simultaneously doing other things on their phone or tablet. I think they're definitely doing that. But I don't think they're doing that in the sense that, hey, the best way that I can enjoy The Simpsons is if I go into the Simpsons app and look up all the voice actors for The Simpsons and see what they're doing on other shows and blah, blah, blah. No, they just, mindlessly peruse their second device. I have a hard time thinking that people genuinely enjoy using a second screen just to enjoy what I feel like they should be enjoying with one screen.
And you confirm. See, you missed my opening on this article. This is exactly what I was saying, and you just confirmed it. I said that they actually had this with the Chromecast, and I found that using my smartphone as a TV remote control was poor. I did not like the experience at all. I like picking up a remote, channel up, channel down, doing all that stuff, volume control, and not having to use my smartphone. Excuse me. And so you are in agreement with me. I don't think this is going to work out as well as they think.
Well, no. That's a different point. That point is controlling your television through your smartphone, and that point I think still has some validation. But to simultaneously enjoy what's on your TV as well as what's on your smartphone, I think that's a fallacy. I think that is something that is just a distraction from what should be one, vector of entertainment. You should not be mixing. The best way to enjoy this is to watch on both screens. Is to listen and half watch one screen, and then the other one is to engage yourself and half watch your smartphone. That is a fallacy. But controlling it completely from a smartphone, that I can get behind completely. Forget the remote. The remote is useless. Forget it. Throw that thing away.
Well, anyway, he says the included tablet, this is with this new Vizio line of TVs. It's going to have this. It's going to come with an Android tablet. He says the included tablet is an insurance policy. If you're buying this high-end television, you probably already have a smartphone, but Vizio is going to let you indulge in a second screen experience no matter what. And if you don't need it, hand it off to someone else in the house to watch Netflix on and use your phone as a remote. Now, the tablet checks all the boxes for a modern device, 1080p screen, V8 octa-core processor, and Android Lollipop. It also charges wirelessly and comes with a charging stand, too. Now, he says there's another benefit for this app-centric TV control. Since everything runs off the Google Play Store or App Store, users will always have the most up-to-date apps, rather than Android TV or Apple TV apps that might lag behind in the development process. This also means that Vizio can push updates quickly and through established update channels. So besides this new idea of how we should interact with these smart TVs, the P-Series, that's the Vizio television series that's going to have all this. He says this series here is going to oh, wait a minute. I just now, I'm sorry with this. Okay, with the series, Vizio is pushing the industry toward a welcome eventuality. This is basically a world without TV remotes, and he says there's another. Besides this new idea of how we should interact with them, the P-Series TVs are standard high-end machines. They're 4K monitors with gorgeous HDR capability and proprietary algorithms that determine screen brightness within zones to maintain dark, deep black color. That's one thing about the Vizio that we bought. We've had it now for what, 2 months, 3 months now, about 2.5 months. When the screen fades, between a commercial or something and it goes black, it looks like the TV is turned off. It is that black. You
Yeah,
don't.
they've really nailed the blacks is blacks and the white is white. That's, if you haven't experienced a newer, say, a TV within the last year,
Yeah.
they really have nailed the black is black.
And I'm saying even in a dark room, we watch a TV in a relatively dark room, and it's black. And the only way I can tell that the TV is on is the power indicator light. That's a setting, by the way. They give you a setting to have that indicator light on the TV. I said, why would they do that? And now I understand why. Because when it goes to black, and you look at the TV, for all you know, the thing is off, and it's not. So this generation of 4K TV is just absolutely gorgeous. Now the P series that we're talking about starts at $999 for the 50-inch TV with the included Android tablet, and is available starting today. Now, remember, the 4K 50-inch TV that we bought was sold for about $500 and some odd dollars. So, now this is again.
So how much is the P series?
Yeah, the one that the 55 inch that we got.
No.
Oh.
No, the P series, the one that we're talking about.
Yeah, the P series starts at $999 for a 50-inch TV with the included Android tablet. So now again, remember that's
good.
Yeah. But remember, that's suggested list price, and I'm sure that if you get these things on Amazon or what have you, you'll find better pricing available. But that is it just came out today, so obviously you're going to only find it for $9.99. But give it a few weeks, and I'm sure the price will come down. But again, the jury is out for me. I still like this, because you missed the opening part of the show of this article that I did this when
I missed the opening part of that little part, but I'm beginning to think that you rallied against the idea of no more remotes.
Yeah. He says the remotes haven't changed since the invention of the remote control, and I said that's just not true. I mean, the remote control we have for that Vizio is fairly sophisticated. It has a full QWERTY keyboard on the back, and you can do some really cool things with it. It's just not a standard remote. So I don't think the invention of the remote is doomed at this point. Hey, we are at the bottom of the hour. We got a break that we're going to take, and then we'll continue on. This is the Computer America Show. We've got another news tips pulled review from Marty Woodson coming up. We will be right back. Please stay with us. This is Computer America. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
I wanted to plead the fifth, but I already drank it. Oh, hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Carrier Core Wi-Fi thermostat. Initially, it's square and it's pretty. And if you don't have Wi-Fi, that's a lot of what the Carrier Core thermostat has to offer. But for the rest of us, there's a lot more, starting with a 4-day local weather forecast on its color touchscreen. Through its smartphone app, you can modify its settings and see its energy reports. It can respond to your home or away or vacation status times, and you can set and adjust how many degrees it's set back. Replacing most thermostats is just a few minutes work, and it can work with Carrier 3-zone panel systems. So bottom line, the Wi-Fi Carrier Core thermostat adds to what you and your thermostat can control and from where. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And
welcome back to the Computer America Show. I can only do this part. I know when it happens. So welcome to the Computer America Show. Here at 33 minutes past the hour, we were doing computer and technology news. First hour, we had the Sentient, awesome interview. It was great hearing about a video game developer who, kind of left his cushy job, sought his dream, and found it in a small game with a very, very small development crew. But it was a very interesting interview if you have ever thought of getting into video game development on your own, because there is a lot to think about before you pursue such a move. But as he said, he doesn't hate it. So.
And
good to hear.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're just joining us, Ben is on the phone, and we found it's not his power supply, thankfully. Basically, someone is using.
But we keep throwing breakers, so
yeah.
So
no, we know what it is.
bad.
We know what it is. Someone's using our electrical power, and we just have to wait till they're finished, and then things will be restored normally. Ben may not be able to join us back by the end of this show, but certainly tomorrow's program he'll be back in his normal capacity. But he's here with us on the phone for the remainder of the hour. And I just want to finish up this little debate that we're having here about Vizio. They just came out with this new TV. It's controlled entirely by an app now. And they don't even include a regular remote control. And it's interesting because the way they said this is that that remote controls haven't changed much. And my bone to pick with them is that's not true. Remote controls have actually in not all cases, but in many cases,
they used to be corded. Now they're cordless.
Yeah, they're cordless. But also, the remote control that came with the Vizio was quite sophisticated. I mean, on the front of it is all the typical remote features that you would find for standard remote control. Actually, it has even more.
But here's where I can completely agree with Vizio is that, so what if they threw a QWERTY keyboard on the back of the stupid thing? It's still a stupid remote compared to your smartphone in your pocket that can do a million other things, and very, very simply, it can do everything that remote can do. I see very little reason why remotes aren't going the way of the dodo. Well, they can be replaced by better technology.
Well, let me tell you why. Because I found when I was using my phone as a remote control, and I was doing that with the Google Chromecast, it was allowing you to do that. I found that there was a serious amount of lag. By the time I hit the thing on there, something had changed. The responsiveness of it was not as good as with the remote. And again, I had to look down to see, because there's no haptic feedback. I had to make sure I was hitting the right button, and many times I would hit the wrong button. Because whereas with the remote,
but I mean,
you hold
none
your
of
hand.
those are completely, but none of those are completely irreconcilable with newer technology. I mean, phones are getting faster all the time.
Yeah, but how do you reconcile the fact that you can't feel the keyboard? You have to look at it.
Doesn't the iPhone 6 do haptic feedback?
Yes, you get some haptic feedback, but the point is that's when you select the button. But with the remote, you can feel it before you press it. It's a physical thing. You don't get that feeling with the smartphone. You don't get that. And again, my point is that.
Well, to say that the technology is never going to get there is wrong.
I'm not saying that it won't never get there. What I'm saying is that I think it's not here yet, and to offer only a tablet. And a tablet's another thing. A tablet requires both hands. You can't use just one hand with the tablet. It's big, bulky, and you have to have both hands. So you have to have both hands occupied to change the channel or go up and down, rather than having one free hand. It's just not convenient. The way that I still think you can do much more with the standard remote control than with having a smartphone. Now, I do have to say, having the other feature that with Uverse is now that I can use my smartphone to change the channels. It actually gives me a remote control that I can use, and I can use it for any of the TVs in the room. You've seen me use it, and again, and it has a little click, and it'll do all the things. But again, it's not as convenient as holding the remote and feeling the buttons. It just is not. It's not the same thing.
You don't feel like your argument is centered on the fact that this is what I'm used to and this is what I'm comfortable with, and why would you change something I'm comfortable with and not complaining about?
There is that too. But the point is, I'm trying the new thing, and I'm saying that the new thing is not as good as the standard remote control, the dedicated remote control. The new thing is good, but it's not as good, and I can't do it the way I can't do it as conveniently as I can, especially with a tablet, which is going to require both hands. That's definitely not as convenient. I'm thinking they need to wait a little bit longer until they solve some of these problems. But the point is, not all of their TVs are doing this. This is only on their P series, and then they're going to try it out, and you can see if this is something that's right for you. For me, still like the standard physical remote control as opposed to using a tablet or my smartphone at this point. I'm not saying that that's all I'm saying at this point. Give it a little more time. But anyway, if you're interested, the P series is available now, and you can certainly give it a try. All right, Ben and I are continuing to do computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Now, there are a number of stories here. Here's a quick one that I want to do. Tesla was the first to introduce something called the Powerwall, and we all stood up and we said, "This is amazing! This is wonderful! The Powerwall basically is a battery pack that you can put up against mount on the wall or something, and it would give you backup power without a large generator going off and making it's silent. It's battery powered." Well, evidently Tesla is dropping its largest consumer Powerwall model. Now, Yep. Now it says it wants to focus on the smaller but longer-lasting 7K watt version, which is fine. Long as if it's smaller and it's longer-lasting, well, I'm for that. See, when I first read this, I thought, oh, they're dropping the Powerwall model even if it gets on. But now it looks like that the smaller version is better and it lasts longer. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and just figure that this was, kind of the first of its kind. I'm not saying it's the first ever battery pack, but it's the first battery pack that I think was really targeted towards consumers in this fashion, just giant batteries that you hang up on the wall that would store energy for you. And, that hadn't really been marketed to a large scale to the consumer market. And, they wanted to offer a couple different price points. But what they found, I'm sure, as we read the article, is that, it's the powers of economics, and one was a clear winner, so they're going to focus on that.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think basically it's a situation where it's here. You have a technology that's going to provide people with a power or even backup power, and yet be affordable, and it's small. It's so small, yet it will do all of this. I think that this is very, very cool. So
yeah, there's a reason why they call it a power wall. It's because it mounts to your wall. It's really not that intrusive.
It's not, and it's flat. It's fairly flat too. So it really is, and it's nice looking. So anyway, the article is from Engadget. Steve Dent. He says, if you're thinking about buying Tesla's Powerwall home energy storage battery, he says now you're down to one option, but it's a great option. Now, Tesla said that it will discontinue the larger $3,500 10K watt model due to lack of demand. It says we have decided to focus entirely on building and deploying the 7K daily Powerwall at this time. While the larger model was able to store more energy, it's rated for just 500 cycles, while the smaller $3,000 model is for daily use and has a 10-year guarantee. So to me, this is just a win-win. All right. And it's definitely more consumer oriented. So now on its website, Tesla says Each Powerwall has a 6.4 kilowatt energy storage capacity, sufficient to power most homes during the evening using electricity generated by solar panels during the day. Multiple batteries may be installed together for homes with greater energy needs. So you could add more if you wanted to. The larger model, on the other hand, was marked as a home backup system that was only for weekly charging, something most folks apparently don't need. Okay. However, Tesla is likely also clearing the way for a new Powerwall model that could arrive this summer, as it recently hinted at a private gathering. If that proves accurate, well, then you can probably expect more daily charging Powerwall models with even higher capacities and durability. And again, I am all for that. I think this is a terrific product, and I think Tesla is wise. I mean, in the sense that they are refining this product. They're refining it to suit more of consumers' needs.
Yeah, it's really no secret that Elon Musk and the folks over at Tesla, they're really breaking into this whole racket of batteries for cars, batteries for their car, batteries for homes, batteries. Like, it seems like they really have a good grasp on what the consumer is looking for in terms of batteries. Like, they saw something that was underperforming and they could probably do something better, so they're going to pull the underperforming thing, and you can make a safe bet that they're going to come out with something that they feel consumers are actually looking for.
Yeah, and this certainly looks like it. Absolutely. So I think that's a wise decision on the part, and I can't wait to see what some of these new Powerwall models are going to be coming around. They're coming around this summer. It looks like it's going to be some really amazing stuff. And definitely, and certainly price affordable too. Very, very nice. Very interesting. All right. Again, we're doing a computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software. And here's the story that Ben was going to do, but again, Ben is on. If you're just joining us, Ben is on the phone for today. We had some electrical issues, but they will be solved.
I'm on location.
You're on location, right? This story, again, from Engadget, I found this very surprising, and I know you did too. Richard Lawler wrote this. Amazon is start selling Comcast cable TV and internet.
Yeah, that one was weird. It's like, well, you can, like, I now purchase everything from toilet paper to soda to, video games to whatever off Amazon.com. Why not a recurring monthly subscription?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we got a comment here from Jonathan. We were just talking about the Powerwall story. He says, Jonathan says, I want a Powerwall with magnetic induction so you can put an outlet exactly where you need it. Oh,
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Right?
Because how many times do you have, if you're lucky and your home is built well, you're lucky to have one outlet on every wall, and that's not, let's hope that your furniture lines up with that one outlet on the wall. I like that idea.
Okay. All right. So there you go. Thanks for the comment, Jonathan. It was a good point.
Jonathan, you have the next idea in home building.
And by the way, Star Fortress also made a comment on our story about the Vizio TV. He says, I love the full keyboard on my 32-inch Vizio remote. He says, makes using Netflix and YouTube a breeze. So you say he likes the keyboard in the back of his.
But everything has a full QWERTY keyboard. My iPhone has a full QWERTY keyboard. We're not arguing the merits of the QWERTY keyboard. We're arguing if the remote itself needs to go away.
Well, first of all, because the guy's comment saying that the remote, nothing had changed the remote since the remotes came out, I said that's incorrect. I said the remotes have changed quite a bit, and citing the example of the Vizio one with the full QWERTY keyboard on the back. I think there have been a lot of changes and make it easier. Fortress, that was the second part. He said the first is, I often watch a show off of Netflix and then look up my actors and other episodes on my computer. And he says, I love using my Vizio TVs. So that's it. And he likes the remote. So that, again, that was from Fortress. So
But again, it's like arguing. It's like, well, Vizio is doing something weird with their P series, but at the same time, we all love what Vizio is doing with their other TVs. It's like, can we just throw Vizio a bone and say that, hey, they're trying something different, and it might just succeed because they seem to know what they're doing with other stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, listeners aren't agreeing with you here. Here's another one from Jonathan. He says, he says that Vizio TV that we're just talking about looks nice. He says, but I agree with Craig that I prefer a tactile remote where I can feel the buttons and quickly find and press a button without having to look at the remote. And that's what I was talking about. Jonathan agrees with me.
Jonathan, you're fired, first of all. Second of all, it doesn't matter because eventually on your phone, you're going to have that haptic feedback. And before you even press it, guess what? You're going to know exactly where it is. There are ways of making intuitive user interfaces that you don't need to look at on your smartphone. It's possible.
But they haven't done it yet, as I'm saying. So until they do something like that.
Have you tried the Vizio P series?
No, I haven't because it just came out. But they're describing exactly what I've been talking. I've been talking. They're I can use you can use the intellectual capacity here to understand that what they're talking about is something that we've already tried. They're just bringing a remote interface to an Android tablet, and nothing else has changed. And I'm saying I don't like that. And so evidently Jonathan agrees with me too. Because you don't have that tactile remote feedback where you feel the buttons before you and then you quickly press it without having to look at the remote. And so he agrees with me there too. I'm not saying that they won't find something, Ben, but I'm saying they haven't found it yet. Okay.
And I'm just implying that you're cherry picking our listeners' responses.
I'm not sure. I'm reading every single one that we get. I've read every single response.
Cherry picking.
No,
I know this. Usually more people think I'm smart. This isn't right. The day that I lose my computer is the day that everyone agrees with me. I don't like this.
Well, you'll get to see the emails when you get your computer fired back up. All right. So anyway, this story from Engadget. Amazon starts selling Comcast cable TV and the internet, and he goes on to say that the Amazon cable store, that's what we're talking about, the Amazon cable store, could even add Charter and other providers soon. Charter is our neck of the woods up in the Carolinas. So basically it says Amazon has moved into some unexpected areas recently, like physical bookstores, and apparently the spot on its list is cable TV. TV Predictions was the first to notice that the Amazon cable store, which so far is only stocked with Comcast's Infinity TV and internet service for customers living within areas it covers. Now, according to Comcast, the site offers easy order and simplified pricing that is identical to its new customer offers sold elsewhere. So what's really new is the storefront. Okay. In other words, they're not offering anything unique to the storefront yet, but hey, it's a beginning. There's also a dedicated support team for the site, equipped to cover everything from sales to follow-up via phone, email, chat, and social media, which is hopefully enough channels to avoid some of the installation nightmares we've all heard about. Now, Amazon is known for its focus on removing unnecessary steps from its sales process and customer interaction, so maybe it will be helpful in this often frustrating area. There's no indication that it can handle disconnects, unfortunately. A Comcast exec told the Wall Street Journal that Amazon has already helped reduce the number of clicks in a transaction, and the paper reports that Charter could be next to offer its wares in the Amazon cable store. It's an odd partnership, seeing that the cable company... What? What did you say?
Oh, no, please continue.
It's an odd partnership, seeing that the cable companies aren't carrying Amazon video apps on their boxes yet, but they may have enough in common to make it work anyways, similar to cable kiosks in Best Buy stores or local malls. Okay, but no matter what, it can't be worse than pawing through most cable providers' websites. Comcast service is already rated just 2 stars on the retailer site, but comparing packages is easier and faster than I've ever seen before, with easy jumping between zip codes, options, and even contract terms. So there you go. Amazon selling cable. Yeah. Well, I don't see anything wrong. I don't see a downside to this, do you?
well, I mean, the only upside is that maybe, if this is going to be an easy pot shot at Comcast, but maybe, you might get some quality customer support now that you go through Amazon. I don't know. It's, I guess just another way to find a service. And, unless you go onto certain sites and look for Comcast reviews and things like that, I mean, there's really no reason why a service such as cable cannot be purchased just like any other product, like, a pair of shoes where you go on, you read the reviews, blah, 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 you see prices, and you order it online. Like, it should be that easy. And it's kind of cool that, Amazon is offering that.
Yeah, I think it is too. But it's brand new. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. What if it continues on.
I can't wait to see the Amazon customer reviews.
You mean how many stars is it going to get? I can see that now. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this next story is from Tech Hive. Now, you know about Verizon Fios, right? Well,
I do know about Fios. So that's their higher speed, I would say 1 gig, but it's like their 250 or like really, really high speed internet.
Yep. Well, the service, Verizon Fios, is killing Xbox and smart TV apps, making rental fees harder to avoid. Making rental fees harder to avoid. So that's one more argument for opening up the set-top box market. Is that why you're going yay?
No, I'm saying yay because who doesn't like reduced functionality for a service that they're already paying for? It was a sarcastic yay.
It was a sarcastic yay. Okay. I think the phone connection is filtering out the sarcasm.
Yeah.
Well, the Verizon Fios plans to discontinue its live TV apps for Xbox consoles and Samsung Smart TV, so customers may have to rent more set-top boxes instead. The Fios apps for Xbox One, 360, Samsung Smart TVs, and Samsung Blu-ray players will stop working on March the 31st. Now, Verizon told Ars Technica that a limited number of Fios customers were using these apps and that the apps didn't offer the full Fios channel lineup anyway. So instead of raising awareness and improving the apps, Verizon has apparently decided to walk away from the whole endeavor. Boo. Wow. Subscribers won't be completely cut off from paid TV programming on Xbox and Samsung devices next month, as both platforms have some channel-specific TV Everywhere apps on demand for viewing. Okay. So you'll still get to see Comedy Central, NBC, Bravo, ESPN, Fox, FX, and others. Xbox One will offer those still. But without Verizon's app, subscribers will merely lose access to live channels. The only way to get them back will be to rent additional set-top boxes from Verizon, each priced at $12 a month. That bites. Verizon isn't the only one that has backed away from streaming devices lately. Last summer, Comcast killed off its Xfinity On Demand app for the Xbox 360. And while the cable giant provided updates and improvements to our online experience, no new Xfinity apps have since arrived for game consoles or streaming boxes. Now, there's some good news, and that is that some cable companies are starting to understand customers' desire to bring their own hardware. See, Time Warner Cable still offers streaming apps for the Xbox 360 and the Roku, and Charter also has been testing new plans that don't require set-top box rentals at all. That's nice. So basically, advocates of the FCC's plan to open up the TV set-top box market, that's where all this is coming from, could very well point to Verizon's latest maneuver as an example of why such measures are necessary. The FCC wants any device with a Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection to be able to access to pay TV services, but TV operators don't want to give up all that control and would prefer to keep releasing apps on their own. As the availability of such apps appear to shrink rather than grow, it's unclear whether TV providers can be trusted to offer the broad device support that subscribers will increasingly want. So there you go.
Yeah, it's right there. If you open up the set-top box market, then you get things like, instead of having to rent that set-top box for $15 a month from your local cable provider, hey, you have a Roku too. You have an Apple TV. You have, a TiVo set-top box. You have, an Xbox. Why bother with one of those, paying $15 a month when you have a device that's fully capable of acting as a set-top box?
Yeah, exactly. Makes a lot of sense. I agree. I don't know if this is a turn. This is for a turn for the good or for the worse. I'm not sure.
What?
Well.
How is it turn for the worse? This is good. Increased competition in an industry where traditionally there has been zero competition.
All right. Well, that's true. That's
in 90 seconds.
That's very true. All right. Well, we had a lot more stories. We just didn't get a chance to get to them. But again, I want to thank our first hour guest, Sharif Gaines from Uncaged Studios. And again, you can catch that interview at our archive section at computeramerica.com. Really, you want to check it out. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have a guest that we haven't been on the show in a long time. Bob Levitas, Dr. Mac, is going to be joining us for the first hour, talking about what he's been doing, what he's up to, what's going on at Apple. He's a columnist for the Houston Chronicle. Been on the show for a long time. We haven't had him, but he is definitely going to be here in the first hour of tomorrow's show. And then in the second hour...
You know that Apple just had a big precedent?
Yeah. And then in the second hour, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Again, I want to thank all of you for being here with us. And Ben and I will be here, same time, same station, same place. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everyone.
What he said. Bye-bye.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Ben will be back tomorrow, same place. So, and thanks for your participation, really. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.